So, why everyone should have a will prepared well in advance. So, of course, whether you're preparing to retire or, have a life-threatening illness, a will is important. It's especially an important part of your financial future. And it can be, overwhelming for people to think about. And, nobody wants to think about all of it, documents, preparations, and all of that. But it's a horribly important document to have. First, death is a part of life, and it's natural to want to avoid talking about it. Death is a natural part of life. Nobody really wants to talk about it. But there are many benefits to preparing for it. Of course, you prepare for it because we don't live forever, and eventually we're all going to face our demise. If you don't plan for it though, somebody else will. And those decisions might not have been some that you wanted. So if you don't make the decision, somebody else is going to make it for you. By planning your own, I know this sounds a bit morbid, but by planning your own death, you can make sure that the wishes are followed, and you can avoid burdening your loved ones with a difficult decision at a difficult time when they're already grieving. It's also a chance to say goodbye to the people who mean most in your life. I guess a final goodbye, a proper final goodbye. So you can include that that's another benefit that you can include in your will. It's also a last goodbye, of course. If you don't create an advanced healthcare directive or living will, somebody else might make decisions contrary to what you had wanted, of course. If you don't create a living will, somebody might make decisions for you that are not in your best interest. It's not something that you had even wanted. You can't predict the future, so of course it's not possible to know what you want in advance. You can't predict how you will feel about things in the future and how your family members might react when faced with difficult choices regarding your care or treatment. And next I'm going to go into incapacitation documents, and that's another thing to consider in conjunction with a will, because it talks about what happens in a case where you're no longer able to say what you want for your health, when you're no longer able to take actions on your health. It lays out a structure for people on how to best care for you. So that's going to be, stay tuned for that. So that's going to be in another video. So if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and subscribe now, and you'll see the video when it comes out. I already have the script and everything completely written, packed full of very valuable information. But yeah. So whenever you die without a will, it can cause your family to make decisions that they weren't prepared to make at a time where they're shocked and sad. So having this laid out is going to be so important, not only for their well-being and mental health, but for yours. I know that's not something that you're going to have from the beyond. I mean, you might, but it's not something that you're going to be too concerned about when you're 6 feet under. But right now, of course, you're concerned about your loved ones and how they're able to continue on without you, how they are going to be able to do things on your behalf. Now, the first thing that we have to discuss is your children. If you have children and haven't named a guardian in a will, the state will decide who takes care of them if you can't. So that is one of the biggest nightmares for parents, of course, not being able to have a say in who takes care of their children when they're gone. If you say pass and you weren't married, or or any of that, or you had, you know that your spouse was abusive, but you know the state doesn't know that, and they're just like, okay, well, let's just send them over to the father, or let's just send them over to the mother, even though they were horribly abusive. The state might just do that, and you know that your children aren't going to be in good hands. Regardless, the state doesn't really give too much consideration into specific situations that, you know, a will can. You know, while you have power over your children, you want to make sure that you plan for the best future and gets the best outcome for them as possible. So making sure that you included in your will who you want to take care of whom is going to be so important. You know, you want to make sure that you have somebody appointed. You know, is this person well known? Are they trustworthy? Does he or she know how to manage money responsibly for your children? Of course, you know, if they're not somebody who can manage money properly, then how can they obviously take care of the children? You know, it's going to be very difficult for your children, and it's going to be a difficult upbringing, and it's going to be difficult all around. So you want to make sure that you have some of the nets in place, to where you know, this person is definitely going to be able to take care of my children. Again, if it's from, you know, a lover that you had children with that you don't trust their judgment, this is going to be something that's foundation. But like I said, the laws in determining who will take care of your children in each state is going to be different. So your will is definitely going to be able to help guide the decision. You know, of course, you got to make sure you're asking the question, will the person be able to take care of your children? Will they be taking care of, will they be taking care of another guardian or parent? Who is responsible? But another thing is, not having a will means your assets will be distributed in ways you did not intend. Now remember, I know this is going to sound gruesome, but it's true. Dead men tell no tales. Well, dead men also aren't able to tell people how they wanted their assets distributed. Now, if you don't have a lot of assets, that's one thing, but you know, if you have a good amount of assets, you know, you have a house, a car, you have all of these things that you are afraid to leave into, you say, an irresponsible child's hands, an irresponsible wife, irresponsible somebody's hands, you want to make sure that you have a will that may direct how your assets are going to be directed, if that makes sense. So, you know, instead of your car getting sent to your daughter, it gets sent to your wife, whom previously you were about to be in the proceedings of leaving, but if nothing was finalized, so now your wife gets it, and you know, it's a whole big mess. So you want to make sure that you have something outlined that says how your assets are going to be distributed. It can be, like I said, it can be very difficult in deciding. You don't know who you're going to have a good relationship with now and in the future, but that's why it's a living it's a living document as well, so you can always change it depending on, you know, what situations arise, and, you know, what you have uncovered about people. So it's a living document. You'll be able to make changes with it accordingly. Of course, this document is better to have better early. I would say better late than never, which is also true, but it's better to have it earlier as opposed to, you know, not having it at all, or something happened and, you know, you're left without a will and nobody knows how you want your stuff distributed, or they distribute it to the wrong person, a lot of different things. So for this particular situation, it's better early than anything else, because, you know, when death comes knocking, you know, you never know where you're going to be. So it's best to have everything outlined and advanced.